Now to NASCAR political director Chuck Todd about the impact of the Iraq War and the status that it now has on this election at this point.
I think it's most striking where you have two nominees of both parties who got there because of the Iraq War. And now the Iraq War is not the focal point of debate. Now that's going to change. The first of the three presidential debates is going to be on national security issues. So I think we will see Iraq come back. But it is amazing. I mean, the economy has just consumed everything. And the irony of Obama wouldn't have gotten to where he got without having the position on Iraq that he had, and John McCain might not have had the hold-your-nose comfort level of conservatives to get where he got had he not been such a strong supporter of the surge.
As we all know, political campaigns have a half-life of about 20 minutes, and the half-life this week has to do with Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska and the impact that she's had on the McCain campaign and bringing women voters. This is the Newsweek cover this next week. What women want. In fact,
very declarative of them. Yeah, they say it as if they have the answer.
As if they have the answer. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We saw this shift in our poll, and it was the question is it a quick shift or not? Our Democratic half of our polling firm, Peter Hart, said that 24 years ago, when Geraldine Ferraro was picked, they saw this bump. Women flocked to the Mondale Ferraro ticket, and they actually, he said, for about a 3 or 4 day period, they actually thought they'd carried more states other than Minnesota. They thought they could do well in California and Oregon, and it ended up deflating. The interesting thing here is you have the McCain campaign, I think, worried that they could have a deflation of enthusiasm over time with this Palin pick, so they're doing everything they can to keep the enthusiasm up. Next week, they're going to have joint town halls together. We're going to see this ticket campaign as a team, probably more so than we have ever seen a presidential nominee and vice presidential nominee campaign together.
Do you think there's a Palin bubble?
Well, there might be. The question is, like yes, there's a bubble. The question is it going to have a soft landing, and it'll come in and still have have propped up the Republican base and the enthusiasm, which we've seen in a number of states have been able to, McCain's starting to put them away? Or does it collapse? Is it Amazon.com or drcoop.com, you know, where it either disappears completely or levels off, but still is a positive force for the Republican ticket?
Let's go to the map, because that's where the numbers are going to count the most. Has the electoral map shifted in the last week as a result of A, Senator McCain picking Governor Palin, and B, getting a big bump out of his convention in St. Paul?
Well, the good news is we're doing this every week, because you said this stuff has a half-life of a couple of hours. The way our battleground map looks this week, the toss-up states are shrinking. You are seeing these lean Republican states. They were places like Missouri, Indiana, North Carolina, Florida, seeming more solid for McCain than they ever were just 3 weeks ago, and that is the Sarah Palin effect a little bit. That is Republicans coming home, and all of a sudden it's probably, look, Obama's not pulled out of these states. He's still contesting Missouri. He's still contesting Indiana, North Carolina, Florida. They just look like bigger reaches. The other thing it's done, it's moved some states into the battleground. Wisconsin was a state that Obama had thought to have put away a month ago. It's now even, and we're going to see McCain, Palin in that state now. The good news for Obama, the one place Sarah Palin has had no effect, out west. His numbers out west are strong, actually a little bit stronger. New Mexico's now in his column. Nevada, they still have a huge Democratic registration advantage that has come from nowhere. Republicans had this advantage 4 years ago. And Colorado, the good news, he may sweep the West. The bad news is if he loses either Wisconsin or Michigan, those gains of those so-called red states out west will be meaningless to the Electoral College.
You heard my reference earlier in this program. We don't have a lot of time here to former House Majority Leader Dick Armey saying the Bubba vote. They're going to go in and not vote for a black man.
Well, it's interesting. It's Wisconsin and Michigan in particular that, when I've talked to strategists on both sides, that's where they're nervous. They're sitting in undecided. These are folks that if you probe them on issues, they tell you the country's moving in the wrong direction. They tell you that the economy stinks. They'd like to see a little more money in their pocket. They're voting for Democrats for Congress. They're voting for Democrats for Senate. And then you ask them about the presidential race, and they say, I don't know yet. I'm undecided. They don't tell you why they're undecided. And it's that voter. Obama's got a little magic number that I think people need to start watching in these states. On the Sunday before the election, he better be at 48 or above. Anything less than that, because he's going to lose 70% of the undecideds. I think